When your old career gives you lemons, throw in some ice, mix in some vodka, and call it a podcast. From the Mac of All Trades studio in Fairport, and driven by Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, it's Billified, the Bill Moran Podcast.
Welcome. Thanks for getting your pot on. Thank you for telling a friend. That's how we spread the word about the pirate ship. I think some people, not necessarily listener-wise, but I think some people maybe involved with the podcast are going to be a little bit jealous today because it's just Laura.
Why would people be jealous?
Well, things have been busy for me, and I've got a lot of school stuff, and I didn't reach out to certain people to say...
Okay.
I
was supposed to bring a guest.
Yes, but that's okay.
And they're a little hungover.
Yeah.
So
I didn't want to.
She'll come on another time.
Yeah, that'll be fantastic. That would be a lot of fun. Laura reminded me of Friday, August 7th. We were at the VFW doing Theme That Tune live for your chance to win passes, but they're GA Plus passes for Hoochinanny. Mm-hmm. So these will include like the World of Whiskey. You get everything you get with GA, which is like the Land of Lager and all that. But then you also get access to the World of Whiskey, which I think is 20 free whiskey tastings. Yeah. Private bathrooms, side view stage, lounge, all kinds of really cool stuff. And the passes we're giving you are for all 3 days.
Yeah.
So they're not just, and I think, honestly, if you were going to buy a pair, it's over $400.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but there's more than one set of passes that we
we were going to do a set each round, and we're going to do 3 rounds.
So there are multiple chances to win.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we should do like a warm-up round to kind of show people how the game works. Like maybe we just do 4 songs instead of 8.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Sign up
and
by
we
7.
can walk around and help people that first round.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, because actually playing it doesn't take long. It's not like we're saying this is a 3-hour-long commitment.
No.
Thing.
So what I'm thinking, though, is we'd have to tally up all the scores.
Yes.
And that could take some time in between the rounds, right?
That's why
I don't know if
depending on how many tables we have, it's like the pod squad has to break up going around and, making sure everyone's being honest.
Yeah, that's a great idea. But I think so. I'm wondering this, and you tell me, and it would be a little more. Well, I'll just say it. I don't want to say what the motivation is. Each round, we don't say who the winner is until all the rounds are done. Now, the only problem with that is if someone's really good, they could win twice.
Well, then we would have to
go to the next score.
So is it like, do we have people fill in and then they turn them in?
Yeah.
And then we're in the back.
Yeah.
We'll go through it.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll give them the answers, but we actually have their sheets. I like that.
Yeah.
And then we'll be like, we will announce the winner
at the end.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
So that way we collect all the sheets. New sheets come out.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I think I have to make some sheets.
Yeah. That's sort of like how BTB, when they were doing the music bingo, you would get like a different sheet per round and you would turn them in. And they would let you know who won that round. So, I think that's a good way to do it.
I think it's a great way to do it, too. Now that we're talking about it live. maybe there should be meetings and things. Here was the thing, like when I was in radio, I fucking hated meetings. Yeah. And there were times I would get up after a meeting and on the way out, I would turn back and it could be the boss. And I would go, this could have been an email.
Yeah, of course.
And they would get so mad at me. And then when I went to another company, they had hired a guy to come in, and I figured they hired him because he came across sort of weak. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was super sensitive, and he always was uncomfortable around me, and that was the worst thing for me to know.
Yeah.
So then I remember once getting up in his office, and we're having this meeting, And then he starts to bring something up, but he brings it up in such a mousy way that I stood up and just go, and I yelled really loud, put on your big boy pants and figure it the fuck out. And I walked out and slammed the door.
That docile personality is so,
isn't it?
Pathetic. In
a
way.
There is. And I'm not even saying like male, female, but there is a bit, especially with a guy, that I don't care what you identify as, but just having a presence, and especially if you're in a leadership role, right? A presence. And the weird part was that guy's office was right next to the general manager's office. And there was like a little alcove, and then the operations manager office was over here. If that happened and I'm the GM, I'm out. I want to know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Okay. They got up and closed their doors. They got up and closed their doors. They got up and closed their fucking doors. I was like, oh my God. And it was. I just want to see what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, I was waiting. I was ready. I was ready to get told, don't ever do that.
Yeah.
There's better ways to resolve things. Let's have a discussion. Oh, they got up and closed their doors. And I went, this is absolutely wild.
That's really fun.
And I'm the worst person to have that go. A lot of things I want to discuss with you. And I was debating whether or not to bring this up. This is probably something that I don't think is discussed in the world, but I don't know that it is ever really, I've never really had a discussion about it. And I think right now, in current day, it's kind of in the headlines and things. And that is the Lindsay Clancy story. Do you know who Lindsay Clancy is?
The woman who drowned her kids?
Yeah, she killed her kids and then tried to jump out the window after slitting her wrist, and she died. And I've done some digging on this, and it came up in a class. That's why. And I was really surprised at I mean, this is like the most fucked up story ever. It's tragic, it's horrible. But it's someone who's suffering and tried to get help, and the system failed. I just have to say the system fucking failed. And I think that postpartum depression is something that I don't know you would, right? It's not something I would necessarily deal with. And I think there are some things where they go, well, man can get to, probably, but I think it's just called depression or stress or concern because, you put this weight on your shoulders. But what is told to women, because I think there is an expectation, like after your baby's born, you're supposed to be excited and happy and you got this newborn baby. And you can go on like YouTube and find videos where women are bawling and going, for the first 2 months, I couldn't hold my child. And what am I going to tell her when she asks? And I'm thinking, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't say fucking shit. But they're like, what do I tell them? And I don't know what that's like for a woman.
I had two completely different experiences. We all know I love being sporadic, go travel, go and do all these things. So when I was pregnant with Lucas, my first, I was sort of worried about that transition. Like, am I going to feel like this baby weighs me down? And I was so in love with him. Like, I was so glad. I felt like I could have given up everything for him. I got pregnant very shortly on. Lucas was only a year when I got pregnant with Camden. I had an extremely rough pregnancy. I was hospitalized 3 times.
Oh my God.
I didn't feel connected to this baby. And when I had him, he was very needy. My dad called him the titmouse. He nursed nonstop. He wouldn't let me, I had to be holding him. I didn't have like the postpartum depression where I wasn't connected to him, but I was fantasizing about drowning myself. And I kept saying, I called my OB and I was like, I keep just having that, in the Big Lebowski when they're like tripping and there's that montage, that was the feeling that I had. So they put me on an anti-anxiety med. And I was sort of like on the brink where they weren't calling it postpartum because I never had any bad feelings towards Camden. It was just myself. It was a huge struggle to go from 1 to 2 for me.
Wow.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people struggle.
So it's interesting, right? Because what does an OBGYN do? They're a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And a doctor is going to look for a tool that's going to help you in this situation. But those things, I think sometimes I do really truly believe that medication of any kind, and there are people who go, I don't want to get on anything, I don't want to be taking a pill.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tool to make you be your best self, is how I see it. But it's a Band-Aid as well if you're not doing other things to try to help yourself and figure out why. And I think you did.
Yeah.
I just don't know if you did it then.
Well, and it's not like they're asking you the problems. You're the one who has to go and advocate for yourself.
Right.
So halfway through my second pregnancy is when my marriage started to taking a bad turn. And during the pregnancy, I was sitting in my shower for like half an hour, just crying. And I did.
When was this?
I was it was 2016, the end of 2016.
Right. But I mean, were you pregnant?
I was pregnant.
Okay.
I was like halfway through my pregnancy with Cam. And I did tell them, and they actually started me on something then for anti-anxiety, but just such a small dose because I was pregnant. And then it didn't really get worse, but it didn't get better. And then when I had him is when they upped the meds because
then you were on.
I wasn't pregnant anymore, but I was nursing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was sort of, that's when the marriage took the downfall. So
here's an interesting thing that I've just learned about in like human development, that at 6 days or whatever, we start to have the brain develop and the spine develop and that sort of thing. But by 10 months, the stress, the baby can feel the stress. Well, 10 months. I mean, we only go for 9 months, but somewhere in there, the 10th week, maybe. I'm conflating things, but they start to feel that. And there was something I was reading where a baby stopped kicking and a woman got really scared and went, and they go, no, it's just, you're under a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And the baby feels it and absorbs it.
The first one, Lucas kicked, moved, yawned, hiccuped. Camden was pretty still, like as a fetus. Like
yeah, it's weird. And when I look at like the Lindsay Clancy story, from the way I'm seeing it is, I'm pretty sure she was a labor and delivery nurse.
Okay.
She advocated. She went to different places and said, I'm having a really hard time.
Yeah.
And then I think her ex-husband is suing some of the psychiatric doctors because at one point I read somewhere that he said that she was a zombie on the medicine they were putting her on. And then, okay. But every doctor, and I think today, one of the cool things is you have things like a My Chart. So every doctor can see if they go through it or have someone go through it for them, what medication you're on, and should be able to avoid medication that interacts or harms somebody. Should be.
Yeah.
They had her on all kinds of things, but she kept trying to advocate for herself, from what I understand. And then he said she was like a zombie. And you just wonder, where did it get missed when she was saying, I'm having these thoughts, I'm hearing these things. I believe also that she's bipolar.
Yep. Which
bipolar is like exasperates postpartum depression. It's like much bigger and better.
I could imagine.
So then when I'm reading some of it, and this is the only thing that I say, and I'll be curious for your perspective on it, but we hear a lot of things nowadays where fake news, right? And we have President Trump calling, you work for CNN fake news and that sort of thing, right? I would like to say that that's completely false, that there is no agenda and there's no narrative. I'm reading what I would think is more of, I'll say, if you're going to pick a side, a more liberal-leaning side would be MSN.
Okay. Yep.
I think. Okay. So as I'm reading this, it says in an article for her that severe postpartum depression, and then it goes comma, and then in blue that you can click it, a highly, I don't know, like a highly rare thing that happens. Is basically what they're saying. Like, it's rare. And I'm like, yeah, but why are we not saying, like, hey, we talked to doctors and we talked to independent psychologists, and they said bipolar will make this worse. Somebody should have been on this. Clearly, the woman was not in the right state of mind. I don't think she would have done this. She was trying to get herself help. I'm not saying there shouldn't be some kind of price to pay. Please don't say that.
No,
I understand. But I can't imagine the price that you pay now as you hear yourself in these, psychotic states, and then you're jumping out of a fucking window and break your neck and you're paralyzed from the waist down. And oh, by the way, a year later, your husband remarries. Fantastic family. All of it's like, what? But whatever. I'm not. You can't tell somebody how to live, and I don't know. Like, maybe the guy's like, I like need to dive into something, so I don't think of that. I get it. But I just feel like there's just, like, even there, it's painting her in a worse way.
Well,
than I think fully should be appreciated or understood. Let's put it that way.
I think mental health has always been looked down upon. Nobody wants to come out and say, hi, I'm diagnosed bipolar. Nowadays, it's gotten, I've had anxiety struggles since I was a teenager. My mom, I used to beg to go to a therapist. Like, I've talked about my anxiety, and you are always like, I don't see it on you. It's because I'm medicated. I have had maybe 5 panic attacks in the last 10 years because I'm medicated, but it's horrible when they happen. And it's just not something that a lot of people talk about until more recently, I would say. Back in the day, it wasn't. No. So, maybe she wasn't, I know she was advocating for herself, but maybe she wasn't talking about how much she struggled with being bipolar before. But I also think that a lot of times doctors also think people are overdiagnosed.
Yeah.
And they talk about that, how, this has been part of, like, I'm not MAGA, but I am that MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. And how people are sort of overdiagnosed and on too many medications. And also, when you're on multiple medications, they can interact with each other in the wrong way. And not every doctors spend like 6 minutes with the patients when they're with them. Not every doctor is reading the chart like that.
It's a bigger commentary on our health system. I think. As a whole, just in terms of things. Because go on.
Well, I was just going to say, with my work, I work with so many seniors and people with mental illness that a lot of them have nurses who specifically just do like their meds to make sure their med management is correct. Because when you have several different problems and you're seeing all these different doctors, they're not all looking at, well, will this medication interact with that medication, which interacts with that medication. So I don't know what happened to this woman. I think she definitely was struggling and asking for help. And I do think that the system
I think somewhere
provide for her.
It just fell down, and the worst happened. The worst.
But like, when you look at so many different shootings and everything, they all talk about it's a lot of mental illness that mass casualties stem from. So
I don't know. I for some reason I just thought, I'm sure Laura has thoughts on this, and I don't know that we look at women. Well, women's health has always been it's been men that have diagnosed women's health. That's why heart attacks and things were missed for so long. Is everything okay?
Yes.
You sure?
Yeah. Yep. I will say my sister's dog ended up in emergency 2 nights ago because he ate 2 pieces of gum, and my mom just called, and I looked at her voicemail and it says good news on Arrow. So I know
it's gonna be blowing bubbles out his asshole.
Oh my God. My sister had to pay a $3,000 deposit because her dog was going to be there for at least 72 hours.
This is why I love dogs, and I have thought of getting like a Boston Terrier or something.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, no, I'm not. Because, well, it's just all the, if you can't properly take care of a living creature, including a plant, the way it should be, then you probably shouldn't have it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm going, do I have the money to do it? Yes. Do I want to spend the money there? No. Do I have the time is really the thing. And I don't.
Yeah.
Not time in a fair way.
Get a goldfish.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. So I was like, I'm not getting a dog for a while, but I would love a dog. I would love a dog, but I would love a well-trained dog. I had 2 rescues that I took out to this woman, Melissa, she was out in Wayne County somewhere. And one was a off the street, rough, but beautiful red fox lab. They're kind of a rarity.
Yes. No, I've seen them.
Yeah. And he, my oldest son at the time wanted to have a cat. So there was a cat in the house. I'm not a cat fan at all, but he loved the cat. He took care of the cat. He changed the litter box, even though I think sometimes he used the litter box. I'm not really sure. Like down in the basement, I was redoing a bathroom down there, and one day I come out and I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I was just peeing in the litter box." he was like 7 or 8 years old. You know what I mean?
I have a great story about that, so we'll come around. But
7 or 8 years old. So but then so we already had a dog, a rescue. The boxer died of cancer, and then the next thing I know, extended family on my wife's side gives a dog a Dalmatian mix, little hyper, right, and always digging in the yard and doing this, and then we got that dog a playmate because I was doing something at the city shelter for radio, and I fell in love with this dog, but he was rough.
Yeah. And
then one day, man, he chased the cat up into the bedroom, and I had this beautiful bureau that still has like scratch marks as the cat's on top and he's trying to get to the cat, and he could be really aggressive. She spent 3 weeks with him. He came back, and you would just say heel. I could walk him off leash. Another dog would come out. We would make him lay down. He would lay down, not move, not freaking move. I don't know what she did.
I need to send Joe's dog there.
Both these dogs, and if there's something about a well cared for pet, like a well-trained pet, and I'm like, God damn, because the boxer, I used to just let him wrestle with the boys. Or her wrestle with the boys out in the back. There was a boxer. They loved playing and rolling and blah, blah. And we're like a lap dog. They'd lay across you and stretch out and do all this stuff. But like people would come to the house, this thing's bouncing up to practically their head. And I go, that is terrible. That's Joe's dog. Yeah, that's terrible. And then like Cooper used to go crazy, and she was fantastic, Melissa. But I think she moved. I'm not sure if her stuff's still out there. I'd have to look. Anyway, sorry.
Okay, hold on. So Jackson peed in the cat litter box?
Yeah.
All right. So 5 years ago, my neighbors were over. We used to we hang out on Sundays a lot. Lucas, all of a sudden, we hear a scream. He had fallen and broken his arm.
Ooh.
So I was still with my ex. We go to take Lucas to emergency room. Like his hand was dangling. We knew it was broken. And my neighbor texted me because they stayed with Camden. And they're like, so Cam and his son Asher were running around in the backyard, and I looked out, and Camden had said he was playing dog, and he had pulled down his sweatpants and took a shit in the yard.
Wait. He broke his arm playing at somebody else's house?
No.
Okay.
We were at my house.
Okay.
And the kids were swimming. The neighbors and Ethan and I were having dinner, and Lucas broke his arm.
Okay.
So our neighbors stayed with their son Asher
and Camden.
Well, we were at the emergency room.
Yeah.
And then they called us to tell us that Camden said he was playing dog outside, pulled down his pants,
and took
a shit in the yard.
Yeah.
But crapped all over his pants, and they were like, we just threw out his clothes.
This is hysterical. It's reminding me of so many things. a guy who I was sort of friendly with, and a really, really funny comedian, Robert Schimmel. And Robert passed away of, I think, throat cancer or something. But he was like a stereo salesman in Arizona or something. And he went out to LA and did like an open mic thing. And then I'm telling you, he was one of the fastest rising, hilarious. He was so funny. And he had this bit where he's like, there's all girls in my house. If I can't use the bathroom, he's like, there's always the litter box, but then I'm always afraid somebody's going to come over. What kind of pet you got? A mountain lion? And I was like, that's so funny. But when I was a kid, that's how my game Bombs Away started.
Oh.
I had to take a shit. And how old was Camden?
So Lucas was 6. Cam had to be 4.
Oh, 4.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, I was like 8 or 9. I was 8 or 9, and I go, I'm a bird. And I climbed to the top to a really high tree branch and hung my ass out and took a dump. And then when I saw that it landed on things, so then there was another time I'm out there and I tried to climb the tree because I had to go again. And I go, let's see if I can hit the anthill. There was like this giant anthill, and then it became like targets. So then we would draw targets. And then from there, it just grew and it became this thing. And then then it stopped, right, for a while. But then I get to high school and I'm like overcompensating for a bunch of stuff. So I would climb to the top of the stall and try to poop down into the bowl. But
did Kevin ever do it too?
My brother?
Yeah.
No, my brother was 8 years younger than me. I don't think he ever knew I did it. I never talked about it. It wasn't like, hey, guess what I did today at school? Hey, I got an A on my science experiment that I did in 6th grade. What did you do in 11th grade? Oh, I took a shit from the top of the stall and everybody cheered. You know what I mean? It just wasn't happening. It just wasn't the conversation. And my brother was 8 years younger than I am.
What is it with boys and poop? Like the kids have clogged the toilet before. And Lucas is like, yeah.
I talked about on a podcast earlier this week that I when I was in college, my senior year, I was in a dorm that we had our own private bathroom in our room, and I would take a massive Jenny Light shit the next day. And I would keep the door to the bathroom open and the door out into the hallway just to see how far I could get the smell to travel.
Oh my God. You were disgusting.
I was awful.
No wonder why you had 3 boys.
I guess. I mean, it's funny because I just couldn't believe that, like, when I think back to the dumb shit I did. And I always thought, like, to me, it was just funny and it was playful. It wasn't really hurting anybody.
Yeah.
But I always thought, like, if I had the really hot mom and somebody ran across the hall and picked up the couch cushion and sniffed it and then said, your mom was here, I think I would not be very happy with that. And yet I did that. And now as I'm older, I go, it would be so funny if someone's grandmother had come to visit and then you ran in and did that. It would just be the juxtaposition would be funnier to me. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah. I did want to talk, like, since it's just you and I, just some things that I think that maybe guys don't understand, or I don't know, it sounds kind of stupid, but no, it does a little bit. But I mean, we always go into that men are from Mars, women are from Venus, and okay, there's just communication issues. I got it. But let me ask you this, because you are, I suppose, considered a single mom, right? And I guess there seems to be, I don't know, is there a double standard of some sort, do you think?
For single mom with what? Just like
life? I mean, what assumptions, what assumptions do you think people make? I mean,
I think that, I think that there's 2 different things. Single moms, hardworking.
Yeah.
Like, majority of the parenting still falls on them. But then I also think I am not shy to, on my kid-free weekends, to go out and about. And I have a friend who is recently divorced.
Yeah.
And on her kid-free weekends, that girl is everywhere. So I think that the double standard is like not being a good parent.
Mama's a hoe.
Yeah. Yes. So there's definitely There's definitely two sides to the story.
Well,
I remember when I met Joe when he was like, single moms are boring. And I was like, you think that now, try to keep up with the lifestyle I lead. And he quickly changed his tune. But yeah, there is a lot that, I have 50-50. So
right.
the kids are with their dad
and
just as much.
too. Yep.
And that's a huge difference. Even though my kid-free nights most of the week, I am at sporting events doing things, so it's not like my weeks I have free as much. But then on the kid-free weekends, yeah, I do things.
Well, and I think that that's important, and it's a healthy lifestyle, a healthy balance.
But also, like, even when I have the kids, and they express this to me, they are so grateful that Joe and I do so much with them. On the weekends that we have them, they're active. We're doing experiences. We're going hiking with them. We take them to concerts. We take them on weekend getaways. So it's not like we're sitting around the house.
Was it harder without somebody like Joe? Without a partner? Like, was it harder when it was just you doing that?
I think it was harder because they were younger.
Oh, gotcha.
Not that it was I didn't have a partner. It was that it was younger. And Camden, when we talk about mental health, my little one, he struggles, and he elopes, which is he runs away. So it was more just harder because to have to manage two different young kids on my own. But I would still go and do things with them. And my friend Renee, who we went through divorces at a similar time, we would do a lot with the two of us and all four of our kids together. And we still took them on vacations. I still took the kids on vacations, took them to a lot of local things like Bands on the Bricks, like those things downtown. We would always go and be active in that way.
And I think it's good memories and things. I think sometimes it's people just shut down a little bit.
Yeah.
A little depressed themselves, don't maybe recognize that. And sometimes the kids can be, for lack of a really better term, a pain in the ass because they're little, they got car seats, they need this, they have to bring that, do you have enough water, you got the sippy cup, you got this, did you bring an extra pair or whatever? It's like, the littler they are, the more equipment you need.
But like they say, when you are debating on divorcing or anything, they say like staying for the kids is the worst thing that you can do.
Who I'm not going to disagree with that, but who are they that say that? Like, I always wonder who the
marriage therapist.
Okay.
Podcast that I listened to, books when I was going through everything. And even when we announced our divorce, I had some of my family and even some of Ethan's family whose parents split when the kids were older reach out and say, like, thank you for doing it now. Because I think my kids, at least when they see Joe and I together, they see such a happy, healthy relationship. And that is what I wanted them to see. When I was still married to Ethan and when I was unhappy, again, we had been in marriage therapy for 5 fucking years. Like, I started avoiding my kids if he was with them. So it's like if he was hanging out with them, I didn't want to be in the same room as them or was avoiding going home. So I think when I got divorced, when I became that single mom, I was so excited to do things just the three of us because I was so much happier in that space. So
that's interesting because I think that, divorce, separation, all these things more common today. I think we recognize exactly what you're saying, where staying together for the kids isn't always the right thing. Certainly as I had gotten older, I thought that with my own parents at times.
Yeah.
And they did after I think 37 years separated, and I think even with my own kids, but it's a really, I don't want to say it's a delicate dance. It's not necessarily. You just have to to do it the right way. And I think that when you take the focus off the kids and put it on your own emotions and your own needs and whatever's happening to you, the kids get lost a little bit, and that can be really rough.
So when we divorced, I was very adamant and I pushed for this thing called nesting. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of it.
Yeah, where you stay in the same house. The kids stay in the same house.
The kids stay in the same house.
And then you guys switch off on weekends.
And Ethan and I, we had the house. I stayed in the master bedroom. He moved into the guest bedroom. The kids stayed in their rooms. Then we got a 2-bedroom apartment and we each had a bedroom there. He had the master there, you know?
Yeah.
And we would rotate through the apartment and the house. And it sucked. It was really hard to do, but I think it was so good for the kids because they got that first year of realizing like your life isn't changing,
right,
but mom and dad are going to be with you at different times.
Mm-hmm.
And then they adjusted better to then when Ethan got his first apartment, because we did that for a year. I've had people ask me, do I recommend it? And I was like, yes, because it's good for the kids. I had someone who recently called and has been divorced for 5 years and is now thinking of going back to that so their kids can change school district. And I was like, do not go back to that. Like, it really does suck. Like, and if you've already been living apart for 5 years, you don't want to have to live with them again, because, you know, sometimes I would show up at the apartment and Ethan hadn't run the dishwasher and I would be so fucking annoyed, you know, or get to the house and he hadn't done laundry. And I'm sure he felt the same way about me, you know, maybe I ate the last of the eggs and didn't tell him. So it was very annoying, but I think it was so good for the kids.
That's interesting because yeah, I think that what made you do that? Where did that come from? I know nesting was a thing.
Yeah.
I remember, I always think of things now that were made fun of. Like Gwyneth Paltrow was fucking, like, it was late night jokes, conscious uncoupling.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what this is, what you did.
Yeah.
And it's the healthiest thing. Why are we shitting all over it? And people did, or I can't stand her.
Yeah.
And she had a candle that smells like her pussy. I'm going to, whatever. She did, right? Didn't she have?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. This candle smells like my vagina or whatever is what it was called. I mean, who wants that? No matter what.
Oh God, I would love, I wish my grandmother was alive. I would give it to her for Christmas. It would just be funny to me. And I would go, wait, what, vagina? No, I thought I said it smelled like Virginia.
Virginia.
In the spring and the flowers, Virginia's for lovers.
Virginia is for lovers.
So
is vagina.
Yeah, but I those things get mocked.
It was, I think, a lot more difficult for him to be in the same space as me because he wanted to up and leave.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm out.
Avoidant.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Like I don't want the house. Because then even when it came down to it, I wanted him to keep the house. He makes a lot more money than I do. And it's a very large house and expensive to maintain. And he was like, nope, I don't want it. And so then I just busted my ass to be able to afford it. But he just wanted up and out. I sometimes wonder if, not saying this in the wrong way, but like if he would have liked even less custody. Like I think he just needed to get away for a little while. Whereas I was again, 5 years of marriage therapy, I had mentally and emotionally clocked out after many years before we actually split. And he knows that. Like, so I don't think it was as hard as me to do the going back and forth because I had not been in love with him for a while. So I just more appreciated him as a dad.
Yeah.
As my kid's dad.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. I think a lot of times, I think what annoys people, what I'm starting to see is there. I remember, I don't remember who said it, but I heard it a lot growing up was like, don't talk about your problems because 80% of the people don't care and 20% of the people are glad you got them.
I've never heard that, but I like that.
I heard that a lot. And maybe there is something to that, because what I'm starting to see is I can't find the person that, well, maybe that's not true, but that gets all worked up over transgender or Gwyneth Paltrow and conscious uncoupling, unless, but here's the thing, they're just like, shut the fuck up with your pop psychology. And my thing would be, it goes back to sometimes when you really feel it, like in your gut, right? This marriage isn't working. I've tried, done the things I need to do. You got to go forth and do it without telling anybody. Yeah. And the way you do it is like the way you did it was the right way, and not asking for necessarily advice from someone, because I will also say, I don't think people, when they give you advice, are trying to crush your dream, shit up. I really think it comes from a genuine place, but it doesn't always align with what you believe, but it does make you start to doubt what you believe. Yeah. And that's where I think we have a problem. And I think sometimes too, with like, people are just like, I don't want something thrown in my face. I don't want this in my face. And I don't know where I stand on all that stuff, but like, you know, I thought it was interesting when I had Aggie Doon in here for Pride Month. And Aggie said that she wished everyone would come out to the parade, who was going to be in the parade, would put their best foot forward. And all the costumey things would be for the party afterward. So I don't see assless chaps walking down or whatever it is, right? Okay. And that's my interpretation. Yeah. And I think that's where people get like uncomfortable. And why do I need to see this? I don't need to see that. And how weird it is, you know, the ball gag in the mouth or whatever, someone being led by a chain. And right, like on all fours. And Aggie's like, that's fine, but not in the parade. Yeah. Let it be a day of pride, and let's put our best foot forward, that we are just being who we are, and accept us for that. And all this other stuff, you know, is our stuff, but it doesn't need to be out in the public necessarily. I know, but then you're going to have the people who clap back and they're like, well, that's kink shaming. And what if I, you know, dress like a furry because that's how I associate myself? But I get that. Like, yeah. I think everyone can judge. Like, everyone has opinions on everything. It's who. Well, I know. I guess my thing is, like, I find such humor in almost every aspect of life, like truly funny stuff. And I don't have a problem. Like, if I see someone in a furry costume, I would be amused, right? And I wouldn't care. I do whatever you're going to do. It has nothing to do with me. It doesn't really impact my life at all. Actually, it just gave me amusement. And amusement is pleasure, right? I may make a stupid joke like, oh my God, you know, what was there was a song, who's the band that did Fuck Me Like an Animal? Oh. Because then some girl sang to me, fuck me like an animal. Yeah. Like, I won't do that. I want to eat you from the inside. Whoa. That's the song. Whoa. Cannibalism. And yeah, because I just remember somebody singing "Fuck You Like Miranda." Very embarrassing. Aw, Colleen, yes. I hope you listen to that. Oh one. My God. I don't have a problem with any of that stuff, and I always go, why? It's not impacting my life. Because people are bored with their own life, so they like to create drama. I mean, again, talking about me as a single mom, talking about furries, the amount of rumors that were going around about me, some are true, most of them were not true. And you know what? It wasn't hurting me. I was just like, as long as my kids don't hear shit, then I don't care. Busy yourselves talking about me. I know what the actual truth is. And but I'm so open about everything, even on this podcast. Like, people judge me. I mean, and it's funny because Joe will be like, oh yeah, one of my friends said something about listening to you the other day. I was like, oh, what they say. I yesterday I went to a brewery down on Honeyway Lake. I am walking out. They have outdoor seating, and you have to walk like sort of along dock out to sit right along the water. And as I hit the deck, I hear, "Hey, it's Bill Moran." And guy goes, "I love the podcast." And then the woman says, "Randy cuts my hair too." And I said, "I haven't been there in about a year." "You've been cheating on Randy?" I said, "Nah, I kind of knew." I said, "I didn't." And this is really the truth. It was like everything for me was in Fairport.
Yeah.
And getting to Webster, as dumb as it sounds, was like too far.
So as someone who lives in Webster and has to drive out here,
I know.
I've been out here like 4 times in the last week.
Yes.
So, but just twice was from you. I had a job out here. I was at Kettle Backwoods. It is not an easy drive. It's
okay.
Like, ugh.
It is. And so it was just one of these things where I'm like, okay. And I also knew because Larry closed.
I mean,
retired.
Just now.
Yeah, retired.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of could see it coming.
Okay.
I knew that it had nothing to do with business. His business was great. Yeah. I think it just came down to Larry had a lot of stuff going on in his life. And I think it just came to a point where he just wanted to retire.
Well, the new company that just bought that location, Tri Beauty Company, I'm really good friends with the owner, actually. And so Randy is staying there.
Yeah. And so a lot of people did stay and did their stuff. And that was fine. So I said that. And then the woman said, "And I know Laura. I love listening to her." So I don't know who this is because I didn't want to stop. They were with their kids and I didn't want to do a whole interview. Then I would, here's the funniest part. I hadn't really eaten, and Colleen had eaten, right? And I said, "All right, I'm going to get a snack." So I ordered the hummus plate because I thought, well, maybe she'll eat some of that, okay? And it's all vegetables, hummus, and some pita, okay? Everybody else out on the dock that's half a man is eating pretzels, nachos. They got some kind of meat thing going. And I'm coming out with it. I'm walking down this long plank now with my vegetable tray. And there was a part of me going, God, I hope somebody like drops their phone or makes a noise. There's just something that distracts and no one's looking at me. And I'm like, what? What is it? I don't know. I don't know. This is what it is. This is like, it's a dumb thing.
That's your little crudité.
Yeah, I did.
Oh.
Right. And I sat down and I think I ate it all. And she ate none of it.
Yeah, because you're worried about people judging you.
No, I just sat. It had nothing to do with that. I just ate. Once I sat.
Walking down, you're saying, like, oh God, these eyes on me. Oh.
Well, only because those people like made the like announced as I hit the deck. Right. It was a little embarrassing, a little bit. No, it actually was quite flattering and kind. Yeah. I thought it was very nice. I like that whole thing about the way you handled that divorce thing. Did you read a lot of books? You went to therapy?
We had started marriage therapy in 2016.
But when was the therapist guiding you to do these things? Did you talk to them?
I was seeing her one-on-one as well.
Okay. That's usually
so we were seeing
not a conflict of interest there with that. I don't know how that works with family coupling.
No, he was okay with it, and I was trying to encourage him to go to her as well. Like I wanted us to both go privately and then to go together, and he wouldn't go. Like I remember one time I was traveling and my flight got canceled and I was like, I have an appointment tomorrow at 9 a.m. Please take it. Please just go. And he refused to go. So it's sort of like, so she was one of the first people who I was like, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And I had said, I want to make it through. We almost split right before COVID, like January 2020. And then COVID hit and it was sort of like, we have to just stay together for now. And I said, I found like definitely a new appreciation for him as like the provider. Cause I was out of work. I'm not going into people's homes. Like he had the ability to work from home. Like I loved the first month of COVID.
Yeah.
Like I loved being home with my kids again.
Yeah.
And then it was sort of just like, okay, it just sort of was a plateau friendship. But she was the first one who I was like, I plan to leave, but I want to give it until like X date. And I just need to get my ducks in a row and everything. And she was like, I think you should start reading some books, start listening to some advice. Like she knew financials were going to be like a concern for me because he was the breadwinner. She was great. She like reached out to me afterwards and was like, how are you doing and everything. So, and we even saw her like the first 6 months after we divorced too, because there's so much fighting during the beginning. You know, I want this, he wants that. Like, and our money was still together. Yeah. But
I mean, I think it's really important. I think these things become extremely emotional, and emotions are hard, feelings are hard, and I think that also the feelings are big. And I have just a theory, a belief that I'm not sure. I'm trying to see if it's supported anywhere. It's not one I've heard, but from my own lived experience, and then seeing some other young men, I don't think guys are taught how to feel or what to do,
he definitely
or what
was
to
not.
do with those feelings, right?
No.
So the feelings are big. What do I do with it? And I push it down, and then I explode some guys and all this stuff. And I really wonder, and that's where like I want to put my focus on probably what would be called late adolescence now, believe it or not, is 18 to 24.
Oh yeah.
And I think in that time frame, most of your childhood's over, right? You're entering into adulthood. You're looking for independence, financial independence. You're trying to find but maybe your career more or less, or figure out kind of more who you are away from your family. You start to see things that they did that you now would consider fucked up and all that stuff. And I just think that but we never are taught how to sit with our feeling. And somehow, I don't know if it's intuitive with women. I always say women have a higher emotional IQ, but it's almost like, and I've heard young men say, like 24-year-old guys, not my child, but somebody who's 24, because I do have a 24-year-old son. Oh yeah, man, we were just told, suck it up, move on.
Yeah.
Rub some dirt in it. Hey, nobody wants to hear it. And I'm not saying that we need to wallow and be, well, kumbaya, but I do think that you could cut down on domestic violence if we had a way to process big feelings. And again, I think a lot of times when we talk about feelings and things, we get to that, it's going to be kumbaya and we're, pushifying men. No, that is not what I'm saying at all. I think what makes men attractive to, like, what do we call it? Like cisgender males and cisgender females. What makes them attractive is the maleness. So I'm not looking to fucking dull that edge. I'm trying to expand the mind to go, hey, fuckhead. Sometimes being a house ape and it is, you know what I'm saying, isn't the right way. Sometimes our knee-jerk reaction isn't the right way. And if you're at some point, the whole idea is to crumple your hand into a fist and punch someone in the jaw, there's something wrong. So what do we do here, right? What do we do?
Well, that's like how, bringing it back to that docile personality, like you think about it like a dog to roll over and like sniff me,
rub
like,
my belly.
Yes, like just love me, love me. I think there's like people think that if they're not this tough meathead, that's how they're viewed.
Yeah,
but there's the fine in the middle that you can be sensitive, you can be emotional, but 100%. Like you can also be strong and but and it thinking about Joe, Ethan, other people, they're so shaped by their childhood. And it's everybody. Like I feel like every person should have therapy.
I'm with you on that.
It should be like,
do you go now?
Mandated. No, not anymore. Yeah. It should be like a mandated high school curriculum.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And a lot of times, depending, like I think Monroe County in certain cases will, if you're going through a divorce, makes, and I don't know how, because anybody I know, I don't know that this has happened, but they have mandatory therapy for the kids. Yeah,
I don't remember.
No, I think it's
Yeah.
it might be a
But like bringing the
socioeconomic
full
standard thing.
circle, coming back to the mental health shit from the beginning. Like I will say my parents divorced before I was born practically. And they always got along. I never saw them argue, but they were not together. Ethan's parents have been married for 40 years and argue and bitch at each other every single fucking day. And so he was afraid of conflict because he didn't think you could have a normal disagreement without arguing. So he would just hold it down and then snap at me. Then you think like Joe's parents don't even talk, like, and just how he was raised, and it's everyone. It's how you were raised. And I'm thinking of other people I've had relationships with. They're just, they're like, I'm afraid to disappoint my parents. I don't want to be like my dad. I don't want to be like my mom. All these things. So yeah, if you have good parents, if you can reflect and be like, my parents were great and they showed me love and they showed me respect and showed me, you are fucking lucky.
Yeah, I'm always amazed. Like a lot of people I went to college with never heard their parents argue, or they could tell like there was a disagreement. They would go in the other room. I think that the house I grew up in was, I think if you talk to my siblings, some would say it was violent. And I don't know that I had that perspective, but certainly those things, right? And so if you identify as a certain gender, you probably look to go, wow, this is how we act.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not how it should be in certain cases. And it's just a live thing. I just think that it would just, as we evolve in society and the pendulum swings from one way to the other, and you had the Me Too, which was certainly a needed thing. And did it go too far in certain instances? Yeah, I guess. But on the other end, there's always a middle somewhere, as you said. And I think like for a guy to just have the awareness of like, I don't know, just have the awareness. Like sometimes I grew up in a world where it was just, there was no bedside manner from coaches or, the construction guy when I worked, they didn't have bedside manner. There was none. Yeah, you fucking asshole. Did I teach you a good trick? And is what I thought one guy said to me. And I go, yeah. And he goes, you think I'm a prick? Oh. And I go, I didn't hear you. I thought you said trick. They have a fucking buzzsaw running behind me. What am I going to know? There's guys fucking hammering sheetrock. So, but so I've always had that sort of blunt thing. I would just say it. And that, I guess, and there are people who just, they don't take to that well. And women don't always take to that well. And I will always quote this because I think it was such an important lesson for me. And it came from a beer commercial. And I wish I could find it somewhere. In the 80s, it was a woman saying, my plane arrives at midnight. Pick me up and don't be late. Okay. And then it goes, or you could say, how about a midnight rendezvous at the airport? I'll be wearing something slinky and black. And I think it was I really think it was a beer commercial. It was like Miller Lite. I don't even know. And I'm trying to draw the connection to the beer, like, smooth and easy is always the way, is what I'm thinking if I remember whatever the thing was. But that always stuck with me because I go, wow, you can say the same thing and it can land so differently, right? And we don't often think that way. And that's what I think sometimes misses with men. I'm not saying you got to be a pussy. That's not it. I'm saying be a guy, but maybe say it a little differently.
It's in your tone and delivery.
100%. Because you want to get laid, or do you want to just fucking lay there and be pissed off because you're not getting laid? Yeah. It's kind of the way I look at it. I go, hey, I mean,
I have told Joe that I hate arguing with him, and I actually think I avoid more conflict with him because he has such a big, booming, angry voice when he's mad that it's like, right. Whereas I will say my ex was docile, right. And so, I definitely try to resolve conflict with him in a different way because, and I don't think he means to yell. It's just like look at that man. Like he's just like,
Well, right. And the bigger you are, right?
yeah,
The more intimidating you are.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's where, yeah. And I would say I did the same thing. I would be told by certain people, you're yelling at me. And I'd be like, I'm not
and that's
yelling.
what he says.
I'm
He's
not
like,
fucking
no.
yelling
I'm like,
at you.
but your tone, like
Yes,
just the way that you are. And
so like if a guy, let's say a guy, and I'm working with a dude, and he comes to me and says, this is it. I'll say, yeah, I get it.
mm-hmm.
And it sucks, doesn't it? Because you don't think I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was simply expressing myself, which is what you want me to do, the way I know how.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm being softer than I normally would be. Seriously. And from there, I think my thing would be like, okay, so what do we do? How do we do this?
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if sometimes going, you know what? I need to take a walk, and then think in your head of how you can rephrase and say the same thing. So it comes out without the booming, which then makes you, revert back. And I think a lot of guys don't realize how big you are.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I never thought of myself as a big guy. People were like, no, you're a big guy by comparison to most.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and so you see yourself one way, somebody sees yourself another way. And then in those moments where, what's Joe, 6'4"?
6'3".
6'3", 6'3" guy. And he's like, even just gesticulating and using your hands to express emotion looks
Scary.
Violent. I mean, it does. Sorry, dude.
I know.
It does. And that's the shit that all I'm saying is try to look at it as if it were a guy. If you were in a parking lot and you saw a guy doing that to a woman, would you leave? Would you stay there as a guy? Would you stay there just to see? I'm not saying call the cops.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, where's this gonna go?
Yeah.
Right? Where's this gonna go?
Yeah.
Because he's a big dude.
Uh-huh.
That's exactly how my head would work.
Yep.
So now put it on yourself and try to see that. And it's not easy.
And again, it's not like who you end up with as a life partner is not your first relationship. So how did these people argue in past relationships?
Yeah.
Like what?
Well, I think a lot of
what
times
did
the
they
people you marry,
yeah,
I think at least when you're young, what's the most familiar?
Mm-hmm.
What's the most familiar? And so you find someone that would represent either one of your parents.
Yeah.
Right?
And he knows, other people know, if I am in a argument with someone, I don't like to escalate it. So I will be like, I need to chill.
Yeah.
We can talk about this in a day or in a few hours. Like
Right.
I don't like to, some people like to be like, no, let's hash it out right now or never go
but that's
to
when
bed
I'm
angry.
right,
And
but
I
that-
disagree with that.
Right.
I'm like,
You're right.
nope, I just need to calm down. I need to refocus. Like I'm feeling overwhelmed. I need to step away.
And that's where I think for some guys, it's like, I got to fix this.
Mm-hmm.
I got to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And then now she's avoiding me.
Well,
She doesn't need today.
That literally,
she's fucking avoiding me, and I gotta fix this now. And I'm getting angrier and angrier and angrier, right? And now I can't figure it out. So if let's say it was just boyfriend, girlfriend, and you're going to your place, and then it's text, and it's and it's text, and now you're writing things. You're putting things in writing that are emotional or emotionally charged. Let's put it that way, or are coming or are motivated by emotions. Maybe that's a better way to say it. And even if it's things like, it can lead to, well, then fuck it. Let's just break up. Let's just end it. Hope you find what you're looking for without the word bitch in it. You know what I mean? And then you wind up in a bad spot. And a lot of times too, I will say that alcohol can fuel that shit.
Oh
like
my
a
God.
fucking rocket ship, man. It really can. And I think if one thing, if you like the booze, is try to keep it on the rails as much as you
argue
can.
when you're drunk.
No.
Oh, that's the worst.
No. Right. And you probably won't argue when you're high.
I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, all right, and I just don't think you do. But all those things that's interesting because it's interesting to hear your side of things too, with that, like the bigness and the loudness and the stuff. And I've heard that from certain people over the years, not just my wife at the time, but yeah. And so I think for women, sometimes when we hear, well, she was aggressive, she's just matching your tone.
Yep.
And we don't see that.
Yep.
We see it as, and we're fixers and defenders and providers and protectors. And so now you're coming at me. And so now it's like, your fight or flight's there. And most guys are like, I'm going to fight. And that, I think that's where a lot of these things escalate to a point of no return.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, even Joe's size, but the bald head, the earrings, like he looks like a fighter. He is not at all. Like I don't think he's ever been in a fight in his life.
Yeah.
But then you could see like a little scrappy guy who's a fucking dick that tries to pick fights everywhere.
Right,
so
right.
it just, but it's based on your judgment, your past, and what you've had in terms of, again, partners fighting and how to handle disagreements. And there's that, I can't think of it, but there's like the attachment styles, the 5 different attachment styles. There's like an avoidant.
There's avoidant, anxious. Yeah. Avoidant and anxious are, then there's like the stable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have a stable attachment style, but the avoidant and the anxious, and then there's some that are a little more rare, but they are.
Yeah.
And I'm forgetting off the top of my head, and I should absolutely know these.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's like the 5 romantic.
Yeah. The 5 love, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and everyone is built and wired differently. So, yeah.
The only thing I would say, I hear a lot of stuff, and I think like, and maybe we sort of ended on this note. It's been a different conversation with you. I think but we haven't talked about dildos, penises, penis pictures, vaginas, riding somebody, swinging, going to voyeurism. We haven't talked about watching. We didn't talk about any of that stuff, which, by the way, could lead to conflict. Just saying. Oh yeah. Could lead to conflict, right?
Actually, Joe asked if I was going to talk about this last night. Last night, again, he was drinking. I was the sober one for the concert. He was like, maybe I'd go to Toronto. I'm not going to do anything, but we can go and watch. And I was like, oh. So last night, as we left the concert, I was like, so should we drive to Toronto?
Yes.
And then I realized I didn't have my passport. But, 2.5 years, breaking little boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But I work with a lot of other companies, and I was talking to one of the guys that I like hired for another client, and about the podcast. I go, if you listen, just, don't judge me.
Don't judge me.
You know me on a professional level. Don't judge me.
Well, right. But that's where, here's one of the things that I always loved is I don't believe that people are one-dimensional. Mm-hmm. Okay. So like when I was doing radio, and I just had lunch with Brother Weeze and Tommy Muley together. And I always thought like Tommy was the funny guy, and he was maybe the best I've ever seen, honest to God, in the country. And I ran into and met a lot of people, the best in the country at that off the cuff, always funny. It was one of the reasons I loved hanging out with him. I read something like self-care. You go away with friends and you come back, even though you were up late and all that, you're recharged. You feel recharged, right? Recharged. It almost sounds like retard, but the way I say it. But you're recharged. And I'm like, I think, well, so take that and try to figure out how to get that in small doses. And I went, one of my favorite times was Tommy and I writing jokes for a roast, sitting at his house. And then he invited some other people over for just input. And we're sitting around and we're fucking laughing. I probably got home maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock, and I had to get up at 3 or 4 to go do a morning show. And I felt great.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. And then I had kind of, you get out of radio, and Tommy and I hadn't been together for a number of years, and most of the time, honestly, on any other radio show I was on, I had that role of being the kind of the funny asshole dick. And then I ran into a guy who I've met through the pub, and he's written for The Titus Show and Family Guy, and he's written film, and he is that fucking funny.
Yeah.
And so I love that, and that recharges me. But I just think sometimes those are the things that you kind of need, and maybe that's where I don't know what guys need, right? I don't know what different guys need, but they need some way to go and recharge themselves without, and you can fuel it with alcohol. I was going somewhere with this, and I lost my train of thought. So that's I don't know. What was I? Because I was thinking something about how important that stuff is, and how sometimes important it is to have your individual stuff when you're in a relationship. Yeah. I mean, like, I think my father used to always bitch. They say when you get married, the two became one. We became her. And he would say it to me like, so this was your idea of what marriage was, right? And how the fuck are you going to survive? It's terrible.
I think that my favorite way to recharge is girls' lunch.
Yeah.
Going to get a massage or whatever. Joe, I can see his mental health better when he's playing basketball. When he, it's his favorite thing. It's his passion, know? So, even if he's playing at 6 a.m., he comes home and he's just happier.
Yeah.
So.
It's great. I mean, and so if that's what works for you and it makes things easier, go and do it. Meditation isn't for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is for me. I like it.
Matter of fact,
this morning, I was kind of running late. I've got some chaotic things happening in my life today. Whatever. And I decided that I had to walk a dog. Not my dog, but I had to walk a dog. And I go, I'm going to put on, because I didn't have time. I usually sit for 10 minutes, a walking meditation.
Oh.
And it was freaking awesome.
Okay.
It was a freaking awesome thing. And I thought that works for me. It brings me back down to more of a calm state and kind of to go, don't get caught up in the bullshit, man. Yeah. There's a lot of fucking noise out there. A lot of fucking noise, And that's where the thing is. I was going to wrap it up, and I don't remember what I said, but I have to. No, I don't. This is what happens in my head sometimes. I don't get it. Very upset by that. Because I thought
ADHD.
I know, but I was going what I thought was going to be a profound ending to this. Like, I really did. I saw this culmination, and I'm like, this is awesome. Yes,
and I had this thing.
And it didn't. But you brought up COVID earlier, and we see a lot of this stuff right now with COVID, right? And I haven't.
The Fauci.
Yeah, I feel so out of touch because I just don't watch the news, and then I've even stayed away from websites. Many people are busy, but I'm gonna take the liberty to say I'm fucking busier than I've ever been, and I'm gonna be 55. You're usually retiring. You can retire as a fucking teacher.
Isn't this week?
No.
Next week.
No. It's like,
yes, it is.
No, it's not. It's like 3 weeks away.
It's in August.
It is, but it's like 3 weeks away.
Oh, okay.
So, and I'm going, and I'm busier than fucking ever. Like, and I'm behind on so much shit. You know what I mean? I'm like, so anyway, I've been out of touch. I just found out yesterday, LeBron James signed with the 76ers.
You just found out?
There you go. Because I normally put ESPN on while I'm in the shower, have it on my phone. I have a little speaker that plays. I do this whole thing. I didn't do that last week. I don't know what the fuck I did. I was listening to Cat Stevens or something in the morning. I don't even know. I was out of my routine. Anyway, the whole thing with COVID. Just what do you think as we see this? Because I have some thoughts that may not align with yours.
I have lots of thoughts.
Yeah.
I have lots of thoughts that I know.
I like it because I know there
are
well, I know there are people that are more on the conservative side.
Yeah.
That listen to the podcast and have
not liked me.
written me about things you say. I said on a podcast earlier this week that I think one of the things we are lacking in this country is a far left political party. And I say that because I think it would help the Democratic Party. I think that it is so fractured right now.
Well, there's progressives, then there's
Yes.
Democrats, then there's Republicans, then there's MAGA.
Yeah.
So there's 4 lines.
There is, but I even think, like, if you get down into it, right, there's even people who want the gay rights and the trans. Like, I feel like there's this chaotic thing, and I always think the other side as though I'm not in any side, is the church and big business is all they have to really serve. And here you're just like a mess. And I go, if you had a far left party, would that almost bring this party back to go, well, that's not exactly what I'm saying.
Well,
it's not exactly what I want. And yet at the same time, would it also help for social service things? Would we get a better perspective? Would we have a better handle on the what we call unsheltered people? Is it a great idea to actually be giving drugs to people? I don't know. I mean, heroin's a thing. People are dying. We don't want that stuff to happen. Fentanyl's out there. So I don't know. Give me your thoughts on the COVID shit.
Okay. So yes, Fauci invoked his fifth 111 times.
I didn't know that.
Think about all the times that Trump has lied on the stand. So, you know, you can say that against him, but Trump's a felon. He legit is a felon. He's felony charges. COVID was real. We had no idea what to expect of COVID. Like, how does anyone know? And yes, I'm not a deep into conspiracy theories with Wuhan and was it made up? And, you know, some people are. I don't dive into the shit because it's all bullshit.
Right.
Anyone can write anything and put it on the internet.
And it becomes the right
exactly. Millions of people died, or how many people died of COVID? I know people who were emergency nurses and doctors. I know people who did die of COVID. I know someone who died from the COVID vaccine. It was all fucking horrible and the world was a mess. Do I feel absolutely horrible about the businesses that went out of business because COVID shut them down? Yes. I had someone who I know commit suicide because they were so nervous over COVID.
Holy fuck.
Like, COVID was horrific, and we should all just collectively say that it was a horrific pandemic that affected the entire world and not fight about it anymore. Whether you got your vaccine or not, whatever your stance was at or not, whether you had COVID. I had COVID twice. Both times it was very mild. I know other people. I have a client who's recovering from COVID for the second time this year and is incredibly sick. She's older. She has lung issues. It's still around. Yes, it's now just like the flu, but people died from it. I mean, you can't deny that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of a similar mind. I always like to think that in the beginning, we were doing the best we could.
Yeah.
But then if we are to be honest, I think when we look at, you know, people really demonized Governor Cuomo. And was there money that was going to be not coming to certain institutions if they took these people out? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, if we knew that old people were the primary thing and we didn't take them out of these homes and get them in an isolated place, then it's going to spread.
Yeah.
But was there pressure to him to go, hey, Cuomo, you're invested in these things and we're invested in these things, and they got to keep the money because right, the state's paying us to keep them there. Could that have happened? Fuck yeah. It really could have. Could we have had a thing with the vaccine? Is an interesting one to me, because I go, at what point was it like there were 3 companies that were doing it, and who was getting the funding? There's got to be money coming from somewhere. Here's the parts that I think that I find a little bit troubling now when I look back. And I'll use this real quick. I have a friend who wound up in the hospital with a really high fever recently and wound up, you go to Strong, which is our local hospital, University of Rochester, wonderful place, but emergency is a fucking mess because our health care system's a mess. So you get people coming in there and they have to be seen whether they can pay or not. And that's why when you see hospitals, like money being raised for certain things, that's really what it's trying to cover. So you've got that going on. He winds up out in the hallway. They tell him that he's got, it turns out, like a severe ear infection, but and then in the middle of the night, they call and say, you got to get back here because we think it's MRSA, which is a really bad thing.
Yep.
That guy goes back. Now he's in the tent, right? And he's like, can you get me inside? And they're like, the doctors came in, well, there's nothing we can do, but we're going to try to move this through as fast as possible. And oh, by the way, we want you to stay for 3 days in this chair, in this tent, right? Because it's the overflow tent. And then an infectious disease doctor comes down and goes, nah, I'm pretty sure it's not MRSA. I'm going to send you home. I think it's a staph infection, and I'm going to give you really strong antibiotics, and I want you to rest and do that sort of thing, but I don't think it's MRSA. Now, if we had a doctor that said, and this was the example I used to my mom, COVID is really affecting us. Not that it's not going to hit everybody, but the people most affected are the older people. So if you have someone older in your life, you may want to avoid being around them, or out of courtesy, which is what I did for my mom, was get the vaccine, right? And okay. And if you don't want to get the vaccine, we don't know enough about it yet, but over time, we're going to figure this out and we'll see. Okay. So there's a vaccine that I just recently got because I'm over 50.
Shingles.
No, it wasn't shingles, but it was something else. It might have been a pneumonia vaccine.
Oh, okay.
Because I was also susceptible to pneumonia. I had it a lot as a kid, and one really bad incident as an adult. But they're not offering that to my 24-year-old son. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I go, so you wish in a way that there was somebody like the infectious disease doctor who would step forward and go, you know what? Let's slow down on this for a second, because we're starting to see some side effects of different things. Like, I mean, from COVID, I know somebody who it has affected like their hands. They twitch.
Long-term COVID?
Yeah, well, they twitch and stuff now.
Yeah.
Right. And they, not, a little bit of shakiness or sometimes the hands cramp up. Right. Put your cock in there. That's why people don't like me.
I was going to say, that's a Laura joke, right?
So, right. So, okay, so there's that. Other people have had things where they got the vaccine and then muscles are wrapping around certain things. And so we don't, it's like maybe we slow down. But to tell people don't go outside, have a mask on, you couldn't go to beaches, like that stuff now we see is wrong. But I think they knew it sooner than they were willing to stop it.
Yeah.
And the other part was exactly what you said. Businesses that just fucking folded because nobody could continue on. You couldn't have people in, and lives were changed forever.
I mean,
forever.
My business, I was out of work.
Yeah.
I'm in people's homes.
Yeah.
That's my career.
So you almost wish that there was somebody like the infectious disease doctor that would just step forward and said, all right, hang on a second. I think if we do it this way, it'll be a little bit better. But there's so many fucking, what's the saying? Too many
cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I honestly think at the same time, I go, I can't really get pissed off about all this stuff as much as other people. And I didn't have the same experience. I still went to work.
Yeah.
I had a buddy who owned a pub. We needed to get rid of that alcohol. It was going to go bad if we didn't drink it.
Going to go bad.
And we were in there redoing the floor, so no one yelled at us.
Yeah.
And that was it. And so I had a great COVID.
Like I had a family member die during COVID, and we couldn't have a funeral for her. That was horrible. My ex-sister-in-law lives in New York City. She is in the health department for New York City in Jackson Heights in Queens. That was like the epicenter. She was terrified for her life.
Right.
I mean, she was like, you can't sleep because of the amount of ambulance sirens. And every time you hear an ambulance siren, you know that person's dead because that's how bad it was. So people were dying. I was willing to do my part to stay home or to wear a mask. Wearing a mask is not the hardest fucking thing in the entire world.
And I hated it.
Yeah,
but I did it.
Nobody liked it.
I did it. And by the way, it was the first year I never got a nasty sinusy cold.
Yeah.
And I think most of the time it's not really so much about what maybe it is what you're breathing in, but what you're also putting out.
Yeah. I will say in clients' homes, I still see masks everywhere. So many people still have their COVID masks.
Yeah.
And
but
that's why I also think, I obviously got the vaccine and I got one booster and then I stopped getting the continual
I did the same
boosters.
thing. That's so funny. I did that too.
And I went on the first time I got COVID, I had gone on vacation with a group of friends. One of the girls was not vaccinated. She was like, I'm a healthy person. I run, I eat healthy. I'm not vaccinated. Didn't she contract COVID? And then she gave it to all of us because she got sick. Then we all went out for her birthday dinner. We all ended up getting it. So maybe if she had the vaccine, we wouldn't have gotten it. So you never know.
No.
I am not a doctor. I'm not a healthcare specialist, but
by the way, most of the people spouting their opinions about it aren't either.
No.
And so that's why I asked this. And I think that's I don't even think that's necessarily a political look at this. I think it's a very realistic look at it, the way you're saying it.
What I said about the vaccine, when people are like, how could they have created a vaccine this quickly? I equated it to creating a new recipe. You have all these ingredients from other vaccines that are safe.
Yeah.
And you made a new concoction.
Yeah.
It's like baking. It's trying a new recipe. Like you put ingredients that are safe and you make a new concoction. The vaccine wasn't going to hurt you. I know someone who did pass away from the vaccine.
Yeah.
But also,
what do they get? Myocarditis or something?
No, it was a client's father.
Okay.
But people die from other vaccines at times too. So maybe he had an underlying issue that it caused in him, So it just.
I mean, in terms of the vaccine being rushed and stuff, yes. No, most of the time, testing is a long thing.
Yeah.
Right. And we can't test on children.
Pregnant women.
Pregnant women. So there's just in general for anything.
Yeah.
So that leaves a lot of holes in any kind of stuff, right? If you were going to medicate a child or someone saying, well, let's try this, they're saying try it because they don't really know because every human being's different and there's no real testing on children.
Yeah. No
long-term testing. And I would say also when it came to the vaccine, I think my thinking on it was, the let's call it consciousness, right? It has expanded. And so people know about like doctors and medicine, we've built it up. We've started with plants and we've come. And now brilliant people are figuring out ways to keep us healthy. That's all. And so
I think the same people who are bitching about the vaccine are probably shooting themselves up with Ozempic.
That's so true.
I mean, seriously.
That is so fucking true. Oh, that's another one that I love too. Because I always said, and it's funny because sometimes I think like I'll say something and then I'll hear other people say it and I go, did they listen to the podcast? But what I have said is, what happened to all the people that said big is beautiful?
Yeah.
Where are they?
Be healthy.
I haven't heard it.
Yeah.
Accept
I don't want to be told what to do.
Yeah. Accept me the way I am. Big is beautiful. What happened to that? I don't see any. Now I'm not looking at a lot of stuff and it's not necessarily aimed at me, but remember you would have you never saw, even in the flyers that would come home from whatever store would come in the mail, and they would have the bra section. And if you're a 13 to 15-year-old boy, you like looking at the bra section. I'm just telling you. And when they started putting plus size women in there, fine, right? Acceptance makes you feel good. Yeah. There is a segment of the population that's certainly that way. Okay, no problem. I'm not seeing that anymore. And I wonder if it is because of that. I'm not hearing that anymore. But I don't look at these things like I used to. I'm 55, so what it turned me on at 13 still turns me on. just not as much.
Boobs.
It's just not as much. I really appreciate you coming in today, and I love when conversations like this. And what I started to say, and I was going to say earlier, was when I worked with Tommy and Weeze had left and gone to another station, it was just he and I. And he was the funny guy, but I knew there was so much more to Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
I knew he was intelligent, and he liked reading, and he liked jazz music, and he loved travel. And so to me, to broaden the person and let the person be the many layers of who they are and let people know, I think is fantastic. And so while we talk a lot of dildos and vaginas and dicks and penis pictures and fucking around and going to sex clubs, I think there's also a very intelligent person who runs a business, is a mom, went through something that I would say can be probably labeled as traumatic, a divorce, and handling that and how you did it in what I think is a really amazing way. And I think those are also things that need to be highlighted and appreciated. So that's kind of what I wanted to do today. No, I really think that. And, Joe may think I'm hitting on you by saying it, but I'm really not. I'm just... Anyway, I know you got a lot going on. Your phone's been going off. Did I hold you too late?
No, just my mom and my sister. It's fine.
Okay. All right. I want to make sure everybody's all right. For Laura, I'm Bill Moran. We'll see you next time. Oh, yeah, don't forget, August 7th. August 7th. We'll see everybody there at the VFW 300 Massillon Road. Win yourself some tickets to the Hoochinanny GA Plus.
See, they were looking for a Cadillac with Tennessee plates.